Hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Haley Rockenbeck. I'm the Senior Associate of SNAP Employment and Training at the National Community Action Partnership. And we are here today for our 2025 SNAP Employment and Training Learning Cohort Information Session. So before we get started, I wanted to introduce Dina Rader and Andrew Schramm, who are both here from the Seattle Jobs Initiative. They're partners with us on this particular project, and they are subject matter experts in SNAP employment and training. We're very lucky to have them, and they'll be here as well. So let's get rolling. So why are we here? NCAP recently received a national partnerships grant from the United States Department of Agriculture to help expand SNAP employment and training for community action agencies across the country. So this is a 3-year grant, and we are currently in year 2. This particular grant sponsors and supports a learning cohort, which is what this particular webinar is aimed towards, which is for potential third-party partners for community action agencies who are currently working in workforce development and would be interested in partnering with their respective states and becoming SNAP E&T third-party partners. And it's also intended to increase states' capacity to serve E&T participants by encouraging network members to become those third-party partners. So in this past year, we were able to host a community of practice and a learning cohort. 2 agencies from our learning cohort went on to become third-party partners, which we're very excited about. And those meetings happened over a 9-month period on a monthly basis and included technical assistance from the Seattle Jobs Initiative and APHSA, which I will introduce here in just one moment. So our partners for this project are the Seattle Jobs Initiative, as I introduced before, Dina and Andrew, who are on this call, and APHSA, who was unfortunately unable to make it today, but they are wonderful partners and are also providing assistance for this project. So you may be wondering, what is SNAP Employment and Training? SNAP Employment and Training is a federally funded program that's administered to states, and all states are required to operate employment and training programs. They must submit an annual employment and training plan, and the USDA provides about $600 million annually to states to operate these particular programs, and they serve about 500,000 participants annually. These numbers have grown exponentially in the past couple of years, so this is definitely a vested interest in growing and participating programs across the country. E&T, SNAP E&T, they provide employability assessments and training in case management, but they also provide support services like childcare, transportation, and other barriers to employment. So it's really intended to help SNAP recipients develop job skills and support their economic mobility and upward mobility. And we're familiar with SNAP. Community action agencies serve SNAP participants. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program administered by the federal government as well. SNAP employment and training, again, is required from all states, and in some states, participating in SNAP E&T as a SNAP recipient is mandatory. So for ABODs, SNAP E&T can help people meet their work requirements as well. So the funding mechanisms of SNAP E&T, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but SNAP E&T is a federally funded program, and there's 3 main E&T funding streams, but the particular one we're talking about here with third-party providers are 50-50 funds. So you'll often hear it referred to as third-party providerships or 50-50 partners, which are really one and the same. So these funding streams are extremely flexible. They can cover administrative reimbursements and participant reimbursements. As we were talking about before, the supportive portion of these reimbursements as well, which does include other things that are also very important to barriers to employment. So the way that this works is that community action agencies who are currently operating job employment and training programs would put an upfront investment of non-federal funding, and then for allowable expenses would receive 50% of that money back. And that 50%, the money that comes back to community action agencies who become third-party partners loses its federal identity and can be reinvested back into your program. So this is a really great program for community action agencies who are already doing this work, who are already operating these programs, and who are already really invested in their community. And these funds are flexible. So you may be wondering, what do these funds cover? Staffing and overall planning, administrative and supportive services. Like I said before, the becoming a 50-50 partner does require an upfront investment of non-federal dollars. But if you decide that this is an opportunity that you're interested in and you would like to apply to become in our learning cohort, we'll help you determine your funding mechanisms and your funding streams to see if this would be a good fit for you. And the other point here is that there's no federal cap on these dollars. So the amount of non-federal dollars you put into your program, you receive 50% of that back, regardless of how much. There is no cap on that. So this is a really great opportunity for expanding capacity for community action agencies. As I said before, the buck stops here at the state. That money loses its federal identity and you can put it back into your program, which is really a great opportunity. So the state will partner with community action agencies, community colleges, CBOs, because they know that these organizations on the ground doing this work are directly connected to the community. And particular states have different state context. And again, we're here as experts to help agencies determine if this would be a good fit too. So as a 50-50 provider, you're able to bring in funding that grows your capacity, serving your participants. Then you'll review the allowable expenses, and whatever goes in, you receive that 50% reimbursement and can reinvest that back into your program. So what makes a 50-50 third-party partner? You kind of lay right here in the center of this Venn diagram. You serve participants, you have a plethora of services. This is not something where you want to where you're starting to hire new people, where you're doing a brand new program. This is to build on things that CAs are already doing, and really is intended to grow and expand continuous action. Again, it does require an investment of non-federal dollars and already existing capacity and services. And there's a little portion missing from this Venn diagram, which is state context as well. So as I mentioned earlier, states do have considerable flexibility in how they operate these programs. And so not all states are the same in the way that they administer SNAP employment and training. But again, SJI and APHSA as a part of our cohort and a part of this opportunity are here to help you realize all of that information. So at this point, I'd like to pass it to Dina and Andrew to fill in any of the gaps in the previous slide and to add about SNAP employment and training.
Sure. I think Haley is hitting it right on the head in that your organizations are already providing services that align with your state's SNAP E&T program in most states. You're serving a population of need in those states, specifically the SNAP population. Your organization has the capacity to manage grants as you already do, and you have a lot of non-federal funding. And if you don't, there are resources out there we can help you identify. But I think Haley has really drove home the point of this is on top of the work that you're already doing. It's not adding an additional program. It's not adding additional services. You're already paying those services out of your non-federal funds, and this is a way to get reimbursement to have more money to reinvest, to expand, and to serve more people. So it really is a good fit, and we've seen a lot of success among other community action agencies.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I'd also add too, just around the state context, well, actually the federal context, is that each state is required to operate a SNAP E&T program. And they do receive funding of which to run these programs. So, and as we mentioned earlier, that each state is different and administers their programs a bit differently from state to state. So you may find that in your state, it may be administered through the county, through the workforce boards, or the state may administer the program directly from the state to the community action agency. So it varies from state to state, and as far as what kind of services are to be provided, that as well sometimes varies. So it's important as you decide to move forward to at least investigate becoming a third-party provider, is to get as much information as you can around the state priorities for SNAP E&T. And I'd also like to add too that, you know, when Haley was saying there is an upfront investment from the agency in non-federal funding, and really what that means is that you would, as an agency, would pay for all of the services that you'd be providing to a SNAP E&T participant, and you pay for those things up front, and then in turn invoice for those services after the fact. And so that's where the investment part comes in. And as you invoice, most of that money, especially in salaries and benefits, is eligible for up to 50% reimbursement. And as Haley mentioned, that then can be reinvested back into your program. And because it comes back with no federal designation, it's money that can be reimbursed upon again and again and again as you reinvest it into the program. And I think that's a key element and a draw for agencies is, you know, this is not a grant program where you get reimbursed 100%, but you do get that reimbursement back. And as you reimburse on those funds again and again, you know, you get pretty close to getting a full, close to 100% back on those funds.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Andrew. So we've talked a little bit about SNAP Employment and Training as a program and what is SNAP E&T. And I'd like to talk a little bit now about our particular cohort opportunity. So we have a national training component of this opportunity, of this cohort. And again, this is our national partnerships grant that we've applied for and received from the USDA. And the national training component it includes webinars, it includes content on our learning management system, and it's a really great aspect of this project that allows community action agencies who are interested in becoming providers to really learn more and learn from their peers and learn from other agencies who are doing similar work. In the middle, you'll see the potential provider cohort, which would be all of you who are interested in joining. This is a 9-month opportunity. So it starts in January of 2025 and ends in September, and includes monthly cohort meetings that will be hosted by us and SJI and APHSA. And it's really intended for peer engagement and intended to learn more content about your particular program and if this would be a good opportunity for you. And then finally, we also are offering a community of practice, which is for community action agencies who are currently SNAP E&T third-party providers. So if you know an agency that's a current third-party provider, or you are an agency that's a current third-party provider, we are also opening up applications coming up in the next month here for that particular opportunity, and the community of practice meets on a quarterly basis as well. So similar monthly 1-hour cohort meetings. It's a commitment of about 4 hours per month. So there's a little bit of work outside of the cohort meetings just for evaluating your particular agency and those aspects we talked about before, the capacity, the funding, the participants, the services, and the state context, and really developing a relationship with your state in that respect. We'll have monthly technical assistance calls for each agency in the Learning Cohort offered by the Seattle Jobs Initiative and APHSA. So those are great opportunities for you to ask specific questions about your agency's context, and particularly about funding and braiding and blending funds. We want to note that our first meeting is actually in person at the Management, Leadership, and Training Conference in New Orleans at the end of January. So this is the last week of January, and this is really intended for agencies in the Learning Cohort to be able to meet each other in person and really have that opportunity for peer-to-peer collaboration as we move forward with the cohort. So there are stipends available upon request for agencies who would like to attend, and we strongly encourage agencies to attend this first meeting in New Orleans as well. So if you have any questions about the cohort commitments and timelines, you can feel free to reach out to me, but that's a high-level overview of what it all entails. So if you'd like to learn more about SNAP employment and training, we have a SNAP E&T e-course that's open to all community action agencies on our Community Action Academy, which is also formerly known as Docebo. And this is an e-learning and peer sharing opportunity learning management system for the Community Action Network. This particular e-course was curated by the Seattle Jobs Initiative and provides a really detailed overview of SNAP employment and training and all aspects of becoming a third-party provider. So if you are interested in taking a look at this e-course, there's no timeline, there's no grade. You can go back and forth as you please. The only thing you have to do is make an account on the Community Action Academy, which is available on the NCAP website. We also have a SNAP E&T clearinghouse, which is a really great resource that gives a lot of information, again, detailed information about SNAP employment and training and third-party providerships. And finally, we keep an up-to-date National Community Action Partnership SNAP E&T webpage. And this will have all of the information about the application deadlines, Learning Cohort, community of practice, webinars, you name it, it's there. And that's updated pretty frequently as well. So those are really great resources if you're interested in continuing to take a look. So that being said, if you're interested in applying, the application is live for the Learning Cohort. Again, if you're a community action agency and you are currently operating a workforce development program and you're currently doing employment services, it is very likely you are in a great position to learn about SNAP employment and training. And if we have more questions about your agency and resources, we'll definitely reach out. But I would highly encourage you to apply if you think that this is an opportunity for you and your agency at this time. I'd also like to note that this grant that we've received is a 3-year grant. So although we finished with year 1 and we're starting in year 2, we will still offer this again in 2026. So if you do determine that now might not be a good time, we are still available for any sort of help or information. And again, the cohort will be offered again next year. 2025 Learning Cohort members will also be notified by mid-December. So you'll know then if you've got to start packing your bags to go to New Orleans at the end of January. You can use the QR code to go to the application, or you can go to SurveyMonkey/2025 SNAP E&T LC Learning Cohort. Try and make it easy for you. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Haley. Mary Beth is my colleague who couldn't be on today, but she's also working on SNAP employment and training at NCAP, and both of our information is right there. Thank you so much to Dina and Andrew for helping and giving information. And we hope to see your applications roll in soon. So thank you, everybody.